Hello YouTube, this is Bleach 128 here for you today with number 9 on my top 10 anime list. And number 9 is Bleach. Now if you've seen my old top 10 list, you'll know that Bleach was number 2. You may be wondering why I took such a drop, and to tell you, I'm going to have to spoil some things, so spoiler alert. The reason that it dropped so low on the list was nothing more than I got farther in it. When I posted my last top 10 list, I was in the middle of Ichigo's battle with Grimmjow, but right after that, it took a serious decline. For example, right afterwards, we were rewarded with 30 episodes of filler. Now, I'm not necessarily against filler. For example, the entire Bounce saga was technically filler, but I thought that added a lot to the story. No, what we got right after his battle with Grimmjow was completely unrelated to the story going on, didn't even make any sense in the timeline, and was pretty much just boring. So far, it has not done anything to make up for this fact, and has continued to decline. The only reason it still makes this top 10 list is because of how awesome the beginning in the Soul Society was. Now that you've heard everything I don't like about this series, let's try to focus on the things that I did like, considering this is still a top 10 list. I think my favorite thing about this series was the wide variety of extremely interesting and deep characters. The story was pretty good too, but the main thing that made this series so good for me was all the different characters. They each have their own unique personalities, which must have been pretty hard to do considering there is a lot of characters in Bleach. The story is pretty good too, but the characters are what really make the show, because if it weren't for all the interesting characters, this would pretty much just be Dragon Ball Z with swords. But since I'm rambling on about characters, why don't I take a few moments to tell you about some of my favorites. First up is the main character, Ichigo Kurosaki. He's cocky, hard-headed, and totally determined to never give up until he's completely beaten to a pulp. Pretty generic main character stuff, but still works pretty well. Then there's Kenpachi Zarachi. He's a completely crazy bastard whose only goal in life is to fight as much as humanly possible. He may sound like generic bad guy material, but actually he's one of the good guys in the series. And he's the one that brings out Ichigo's true potential during a fight with him. But this doesn't change the fact that he's still completely insane. He wears an eye patch to seal his power and bells in his hair to give his opponent an advantage so that battles will last longer so we can get more enjoyment out of them. And then there's Gin. If there was one character that I could choose as the exact opposite of Kenpachi, it would be him. He's cold, sly, and calculating, and he wears that smile like he's mocking you. Just look at him. He's like a snake in every sense of the word. Now, I've said this before, but it's the characters that really make this show for me. But a lot of people seem to say that there are too many characters, and I guess I can see why, because there are a lot of characters. So if you're not good at remembering names and abilities, you may have some trouble watching this one, and probably won't like it as much as I do. Now, as I've said, some of the later episodes really aren't as good, but I can recommend that at least everyone get through the Attack on the Soul Society saga. Because this is when the show really shines its best, showing off great characters and an amazing story to go along with it. This has been Bleach 128 with number 9 on my top 10 animes list. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe.